So we'll start off. We have our panel members from various organizations as usual. I think every time we do our SHRD programs, we try to bring panelists from various organizations covering across industries. I think this time also we tried doing that. So our first panelist, I would request Sriram Mangudi, HR professional with about 25 years of experience, specializing in employee relations and business HR. He has rich and varied experience in managing HR functions in diverse industries. I know he worked in various sectors, including IT. His highly successful stints with companies like Tata Motors. He was with Infosys for some time, Dell International, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, Bellarpur Industries, and Modi Corp. And he's currently working with Accenture as Director HR, Global Employee Relations. And he has been active speaker in many forums across Hyderabad and other regions. So warm welcome to you, Srini. Thanks for coming. 25 years of experience in HR and had spells in, again, I think he comes from various industries. He worked pharmaceutical, information technology, publishing, infrastructure, construction, manufacturing, agriculture. And again, he's an MBA grad with a doctoral in human capital management. And apart from that, he has done his post-graduation in life sciences and English. Okay, and he's a reader, he's a writer, he's a blogger. There are a lot of things on personal and professional leadership development, which is titled Welcome to Success, Failure, Farewell to Failure. And there's another book which he has done, Be a Leader, Not a Follower. Okay, and he's recipient of several national and global awards. He's been visiting professor to some of the business schools, where he teaches HR. And in his leisure time, he's interested in reading, traveling, painting, photography. He's there everywhere. Okay, welcome, Vishwa. Nice to have you with us. Radhakrishnamurthy Garu to come onto the stage. Doesn't need introduction, at least in the Hyderabad HR forums. He has been very active. He's been very active doing a lot of sessions. Mr. Murthy is a practicing advocate in High Court of Andhra Pradesh in Telangana, both original and appellate jurisdiction, and also corporate legal consultant. He consults to, I don't know how many organizations, sir? 40 companies, and like Accenture, Deloitte, MRF, yeah, a lot of companies is there. He's a member of the AP Minimum Wages Board Rationalization Committee, representing employers. He's a member of IR and HR Committee of Federation of Telangana and AP. And then he's a life member of AP High Court, NHRD life member. There's a number of things, which I can't keep on reading. So welcome to you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for coming down. The topic for us, the myth and the reality of the technology in HR. And what was it like? I would like to have a view from all of you. What was it like 15, 20 years back as a HR? What was that we are doing? And what is it today? What these other people are doing? Any thoughts from anyone?
My name is Vic. For some of us who belong to this dinosaur generation, would remember that we had PCs coming in just about in, right? And the only exciting thing in life was putting the payroll on a large floppy disk, right? And that floppy used to go to the payroll guys to execute. That was the start of automation per se. But then I think we moved quickly from becoming a PA, admin, HR into becoming business partnering, and now I think we use a lot more AI and bot and stuff.
I started in the IT industry especially. I was doing recruitment. Okay, Naukri was just coming up. There were very limited portals. So most of the time we would go and spend on the roads, like marketing guys, visiting high-tech city, okay, going inside the high-tech city, what the cyber task today, and then talking to people there when they come for a chai or a coffee, because portals were not there. Okay, and I think that's how it was, or either you do a paper ad, give a paper ad, and then wait for people to apply, and then you have cutoff dates. Okay. And today, if you look at, I talk to my teams today, they don't know anything beyond the portal. Okay. So things have changed so much drastically, and important factors is the technology. Okay. So there are a lot of implications, there are a lot of advantages, and all of us have been seeing. So today we will try and understand, okay, what are the technology changes have happened, what are the challenges we have come across, and how it has changed the landscape of HR over a period of time, and how it is going to change in the next 10 years, 15 years with AI, data science, blockchain, all these new technologies coming into picture. And I think a lot of companies started, I'm not sure how much it is being implemented, at least there are a lot of trials which are happening around that. So having said that, I'll throw it open to my panelists. I want each of them to tell us what is their take on the technology, okay? And share their individual experiences and what they have seen in the last few years.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot, Ramesh. It was a great introduction to the topic. And I don't think any one of us in this room today have an opportunity to do any of our work without using some form of technology, nor can we connect with our employees without using some technology. But I think it's been an interesting journey. I remember my first IT implementation back in 2000. I was in California for SQL Star International, and we had this mad rush to try and get 120 to 200 IT professionals into the Bay Area and then start to service our clients. And I remember my first implementation never got used. I processed about 125 H-1B visas all through paperwork, and I built a system on Oracle reports, but I never got to use it because it was not very well thought out in terms of dealing with a legal landscape that was constantly changing. And you circle back 20 years later to today, and I think technology has come a long way. But one thing has remained. How do you adopt technology? How do you make sure it's accessible? And how do you make sure technology is simple and relevant for the user? If HR does not design technology for the user, we're going to be ourselves. Artificial intelligence is not going to take away our jobs. What is going to take away our jobs is the inability to make technology relevant for employees. So that's kind of what I'd like to kick it off with.
Yeah, good evening. So I just recollect was taking. So those days, like we used to get a telegram. You got interview today. So telephones also not very used very frequently because we need to make STD calls and all. And like HR itself is that they don't recognize HR means they call personal department or IR department. HR means who is this HR? What is going to do? So the HR jargon itself is the people are not aware those days. In terms of in any aspects, recruitment or no advertisement, we don't have money really to poach people or to attract. It was very, very challenging. Now we have a lot of portals and everything is very easy. Even training also, I used to remember like we used to have a OHP call. I don't know whether people still know OHP. Like we used to have over a projector. We used to write everything. Now we have PPTs and all. So we used to entire day we had to do presentations and headcount details, whatnot. So too much of manual work. Now we have moved, like we have everything now. We have everything at. So one thing which I wanted to tell you, like there are 100,000 advantages with technology. Same way we'll have 100 disadvantages also with that. So what is important for HR, for anybody for the matter, first is the mindset, then the skill set, and the tool set, which we're talking about technology. Technology alone is nothing going to do anything. How you leverage, how you apply and make use it, and how you get a benefit out of it, and how it's make relevant. So I think that is very important. And nothing technology cannot run itself. We need to have that mindset. A lot of my friends still today they don't know how to manage a mouse or computers. They're not learned. If you don't update yourself, you'll get outdated. That is for sure. So technology is the mantra now. The era, so we need to embrace and get best out of it. So we'll talk more. Thank you.
I can't resist myself talking about my first experience. I started out in '94, and I used to work with this company called Modi Oliveti. Not sure how many of you have heard of this company, Modi Oliveti. one hand there. So Modi Olivity was a joint venture with the Modi Group and the Olivity of Italy. And what they used to make? They used to make computers. And in those days, they were the most advanced and the most expensive computers India was producing. And I joined them in their factory, the most state-of-the-art factory out there. And we were producing assembling not just the computers, but also making the motherboards, the most complex of the technology we're using those. So that aside, look at the HR side of it. We used to have the concept of time office. I'm sure most of us don't have that today. The concept of time office was there, and there used to be this board, kind of a board put up on a wall with slots with the employee number. So when you come in the morning, take your card, punch it, put it back. Exactly at the cutoff time, which is about 8 o'clock, the office boy, today a lot of us don't even know what an office boy looks like. We used to have an office boy who used to run and pick out all the cards from there, exactly at 8:30, because anybody coming after that will be marked late, or will have to give an explanation why he or she came late. Of course, there was no she then. I'm sorry. There was no she in those factories there. It still is the case for a lot of factories. So, looking at that as an example, and today in Accenture, known to be a company which embraces technology at the fastest pace, having the best of technologies. The technology we have, again, taking the example of a time office, we don't have any time punching machine. We just have cards, which does not track my in time and out time. It tracks my presence. It does not track what time I came in, what time I go out. It just tracks my presence. And therefore, we also have a flexibility that I can work from home, I can work from any place else. At the end of the fortnight or a month, as is applicable, you just have to key in the time or the day, so not the time really, the day that you were present in the office, no questions asked. So what I'm trying to really say is the way we've evolved from where we were and where we are today, we have adopted technology along the way. We've also given up technology along the way. Because technology has taken over something called the element of trust. Today, the employers are willing to trust the employees that they are doing the right things. And no longer technology has to police them around. And which is why the cards that we have, it doesn't necessarily track the time in and time out. And of course, we'll talk about what is the good or bad about it, what we should embrace, what we should not, and how do we really treat on this path. We'll talk about, but that's really interesting to see how things have evolved. And I'm sure each one of you in this room must be having those experiences where, from nothing to where we are today, it's been a journey. And all the ups and downs of that journey, I'm sure it's been learning along the way. And today, if somebody was to ask you, what would you propose? I don't think anyone in this room will have a single answer. Because one size doesn't fit all. It has to be in the context of what you want to do and why you want to do it. The purpose is more important than, merely having something about it. And therefore, I'd like to close by saying, bite only so much that you can chew. And too much is too bad. Just because another company out there is embracing or buying a technology, I don't have to buy it. I should buy it or embrace it only because it works me in the context that I'm currently in. If you're able to get that answer well, you can never go wrong. But if you do it because somebody else is doing it, and it's a very fanciful thing, it's not going to work at all. And I'm sure all of us, look at that as an experience and learn from it, right? So with that note, I'll give it back, and I'll probably spend more time talking about each of these nuances one at a time.
I want you to share your experience. I think you said you've implemented from 2000. There's an implementation which has happened, and over our discussions and outside, you said you were part of the success factors implementation. So I want you to share with our audience, your experience in implementations, and how our HR fraternity, what kind of care they should take, if you can throw some light.
So I have two experiences to share. I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be part of the team that implemented the first company to implement end-to-end SuccessFactors modules on a cloud-based HR platform back in 2012. So I'd been transferred to our headquarters with the company Timken, where I worked for 12 years. And we elected to implement SuccessFactors in 28 countries for about 26,000 employees, including retirees, with all the attendant modules of, the core module, what's called Employee Central, and so on and so forth. And that choice was a very strategic choice for the company. We were running off of a mainframe, but one thing that struck me as I look back at that implementation, which was a very, very complex implementation, including the first time implementation of SuccessFactors payroll with Employee Central in the cloud.
while SAP has a long history of doing payroll. Many, many learnings along the way in terms of the need to plan and design and get the architecture of connecting all the dots in the system right. Learnings in terms of making sure that you test everything, of course, before you do it. So in HR, first rule of HR is check with your employees. Don't check with managers. Don't check with HR people. First ask your employee if something works. So all of those experiences. But I'll contrast that with something I'm doing now. The company I work for is a US FDA and multiple audit regulated company that serves the European and US markets. And we 2 years ago elected to implement success factors again. And I've only been with our company for about 8 months. So just so you know, you should give me the grace marks for what I've inherited. But it's very important for a company to understand its size, scale, presence of technology or existing technology, and the appetite to absorb new technology, like Mr. Srinivas rightly said. If you don't know how much you can eat and how much you can chew and how long it will take you to digest, and truly then get the benefits of what you're absorbing in terms of technology, you could be in serious trouble. So I think we're going through a journey where in adopting technology, and again, multiple modules of a very of an interesting HR platform, you need to know whether the technology is right for your organization, is the timing right, and how much of the technology do you need at your point in time, what business needs is it serving. Ultimately, when you're trying to adopt technology, even a social media platform, you need to know if it's appropriate for your business need. HR does not exist for HR policies and HR processes and HR thing. HR exists because it can derive and deliver business value. So if you don't have that and you adopt technology only, like Srinivas said, because your neighbor down the street is buying another, it sounds sexy to buy cloud-based technology or a branded name technology platform, beware. That's the first thing I would say. After 21 years in HR, the one thing you want to be very skeptical about, and it's good to have that skepticism, is why am I doing it? What business value can I derive? Can I go to my CEO and show a return on investment just like my CFO can? And how soon can I give it? That's a question that all of us, whether you are in the head of HR or whether you are in payroll or whether you are in training and development, you have to ask and answer every single day that you work.
Yep, I think that helps a lot. So he talks about the size, the timing, what kind of technologies you should use. While we are HR guys, I think it's important for us to understand a little bit of technology and how these things work, at least as head HRs or any of us in the senior roles, I think it's important. So Vishwa, from your experience on any implementations you had, any different challenges you have come across, or your thoughts?
In fact, we had multiple locations, and we were using technology, very small technologies like small softwares and all. The different businesses, different locations, they are using different technologies and different systems. But in India, to understand what is the head count, how many managers are there, how many leaders are there, how many female employees are there, it's very difficult. We have to manually talk each and every person, compile and all. So one single system like cloud-based and all, this really helps, especially in the big organizations where multiple locations, multiple countries. I think technology is required. Otherwise, it is very difficult. For small organization where, as I said, if requirement is not there, you don't need to go with big software and a big application. But in a multinational companies, in a multi-location, 130 countries, so definitely I think technology is required. And if you ask me the challenges, getting a technology, buying it's okay. But implementing, getting a buy-in and making sure that technology runs, and people, 2-3 months, they feel that managers, entire HR job, they're given to the manager. Most of the portal, like what we do on our workday and all, it's all employee-driven, manager-driven. Employers do to self-service. Most of things, right from hire to retire, employee has to enter his details about address or gender or name and everything. Similarly, they want to change the location, address, they have to do themselves. And manager also, if he has to raise a promotion, if you have to raise a job requisition, everything manager has to do. So these people think that HR throwing our work onto the managers. What is it HR is doing? Manager is raising a job requisition, he is promoting, he is doing recognition, he is doing termination. What is the HR doing? So the point is here, like as a HR, we should make everybody HR so that our job become easy. Otherwise, then everything they'll ask us to do because they have to do themselves. We can't do everything. Especially big companies, the headcount is very flat. We don't have that luxury to go and each and every person tell what is this and all. It's all technology. You want something, okay, raise a request. Okay, then it will process. They have a TAT time, 24 hours, it get resolved. So first of all, you have to make people, it's not technology runs on its own. The people has to start working on that. So there's a lot of resistance. People don't know, I don't know this thing. Instead of giving so many times training, they say, I don't know how to create a job requisition, I don't know how to do promotion, I don't know how to do transfers. So they keep creeping because they don't want to do it. It's not that they don't understand, they don't want to do it. Because it make them to, they have to make effort. Okay, but see, understand change management, what we talk. So I think that is one big area I think we need to help our managers, employees to embrace that culture, Then I think our life will be easy. Still today, after 4 years also, still some people, they don't know how to do it. They don't want to learn actually because they have to do themselves. So it's going to be more of self-driven. And I think that is what change management we need to do effectively and have a patience to get people understand and get using the system.